welcome back to the channel, Farm with Nick. Thanks so much for joining me here on a custom, well, kind of custom, I'll say, farm tour in Poland here. And I don't want to butcher the name here in Poland, but it's right there on the sign, Sobolewo, and I'll try my best there. But I'm kind of just driving up to the farm. A lot of traffic here, actually. But I actually purchased the farm that you see right in front of me, and it's the cattle farm here on the map. So let me kind of just show you where I'm at, and then I'll give you an overview, and then I'll show you what I ended up doing with this farm. So if you've ever played on this map, and I would highly recommend kind of checking it out here. It's in Poland here, and I really liked the detail of this map. So even though like I might not play in it in particular, I just wanted to give you an idea of something I would do on this map and give you an idea of a small farm build. So I am here like in the second town, and I purchased field 64. So that's kind of my footprint, and that's what I wanted to keep here when building and doing this farm. The starting farm is over here in the first town, and then I'll zoom in. It's actually field 159 that they give you. So I decided to purchase the cattle farm over here on field 64, and it's really not too far. There's a store right here, as you can see, the shop there. So I purchased field 64, kind of across from the church there. And if I jump into the build mode and just give you a quick idea of what's already here, because there is quite a bit. So right as you come in off the main drive, you have your farmhouse, little pool area, and then kind of going straight ahead, you have your main cattle barn, and that's really what drew me over to this side of the map. I really like the layout of that barn. So you have an open shed straight ahead, and then kind of over here you have another nice barn for storage, and then kind of looping around it goes up to the cattle pen here, and then you have a manure silo, and then around the opposite way, if you kind of follow it, kind of loops around to a nice silo. You have a bunker silo for silage, and then you have like a little bit of a turnaround here, and then you can go back into that cattle barn, and then that finally leads out through some gates, the back of the pasture here, and then into some nice field area. So I really liked the footprint of this, like I said, and the idea was to utilize kind of what was already there, but then to kind of put my spin on it, what I would like to play on, and then to also keep it compact in this field. That way it's a nice compact small farm build, and it's not like a sprawling farm where I'm going out into the fields, even though back here you can see there's a pasture, an old pond. So this is a really cool setup of where they probably used to have some of the cattle. So let me kind of hop out of here and let me show you what I did. So I'm going to take it from this into this. So welcome to my farm here, my cattle farm on the Sobolewo, I'll try it there, in Poland. So you can see I kind of customized that area, and I left the main cattle barn, but I loved, that view there of the church, and I kind of rearranged it slightly to kind of fit what I would like. So first I'll give you just a quick little flyover, and then we'll drive around, kind of talk about what I did, and then I'll also show you the buildings as well. So just to kind of get your bearings again, I am in the second town. So the first town is over here, and then that's where the starting farm is. I'm in our cattle farm in the second town here. So I kind of rearranged a little bit added and then tried to keep everything in that same layout and keep everything nice and compact, like I said earlier. So let's kind of walk in. So I changed the ground texture right away from that brick to like just a regular asphalt kind of gravel. I moved that opening farmhouse, if you remember, it was right here, and I placed it behind now where that open shed was. And I kind of like the look of that with that pond right there, and maybe they used a lot of that dirt as fill to kind of bring up the house there. So maybe that was a low spot. And then, oops, I got my truck out here. Let's kind of park this off to the side. And then you can see behind me, I also changed out that shed. And let's just park the truck over here. And let's hop in the side by side. So, let's go over here. And I kind of changed out the layout a little bit. I like a little bit more grass there in the front. And I already placed some equipment in here, as you can see. Tractor, have a cultivator in there, water tank in there already. And then have a John Deere mowing deck right there as well. And then I kept this main cattle barn, as you can see. Have a mixer right there. And let's kind of loop around this way. Put some decoration in there, some old cars, debris, old little shed, canoe right there. And then have some old cattle, or some little cattle pens for calves here. And then that comes around to our first little silo. So there was nothing here. I put these silos in, and then I have my milk truck there with the tank on it. Have another pickup here, kind of haul around some things. And then I even put in a little red barn shed here, and I kind of tucked it in actually to the end of where that fence line is, so it actually worked quite nicely. It fit right in, and then it fit right in there between the manure bunker there. And then in here, I already put some equipment. Have a rake in here, and then have a tedder in here, ready to go for making some hay. And then that comes up to our first gate here for our cattle. And I just put a mix of cattle in there. So there is some dairy cattle in there, some beef, and some water buffalo. A little bit of everything in there. All right. But I love the attention to detail on this map, the level of detail on the roads and a lot of the trails, driveways kind of going around. So I really was kind of drawn into at least kind of making something on here and sharing it with you guys and seeing what you think. All right, so the main cattle barn, it's the same. That orange fuel tank I could not get rid of, so it actually just stayed. And then that silo there, I kept that there, put some IBC totes in there. We got a dog out front. And then I put in some fencing right here. There's a canoe standing right there, a little boat. And then this kind of loops around, all right, to the side. And this drive up to the road here by the church was already there. So I just kind of rearranged it, so to speak. And then took off the gates. We have a little firewood there for winter. And then have the little cobblestone patio back here. Clothes, little jungle gym, swings. And then there's that fence. I did want to keep that, or something there. I took out the original, but put that one in. And then we have our main barn right here. And then you can see there's a tree that has grown up right on that barn. And that tree, if you are making this farm, you can actually utilize that same tree to kind of help lay out your farm if you're going to do something on this map. And then that loops around. I have a header trailer there for grain. I have some seed there, washer, little service station there, service cart. And then this comes around to our cattle. So you can either loop around by the house, which I like, or you can drive just directly through the cattle barn there. And then you have another gate, which is very handy to come right through here if you want to just cut through that way too. So that's very, very helpful and nice. And then over there we have a wagon, I have a buying station, and some other decoration. And then straight ahead I have another silo, and this is for making silage. And this comes to the back part of the barn. And then I already have some equipment in there, planter, combine, and a seeder in there, all ready to go. And then I have a corn header out here already. And you might be thinking, oh, this is very, like, this drive, even right here, it's very tight between the barn and the fence, but that is very intentional, because my idea was to make a small farm, but then at the same time have it where you're going to have to use small equipment as well. So nothing too large going through here, but that was my thinking, have small equipment only. And then that kind of loops around to where you would be dropping off your silage here. And this is all gravel driveway that was here, and this just loops around to the back of the cattle barn. Then I have a water tank right there, and then in here I have a very, like, a decent size open shed in here. So I don't know if I can drive through here. I guess we'll find out. So that kind of just attaches to the back part of that cattle pasture. And then I have a tractor in here with the gravity wagon ready for feeding the cattle. I have a forage wagon in here ready to collect grass. I have a nice trailer in here for my pickup, kind of drive equipment around. And then that opens up right into the field, which I really like the orientation of that. And then I also have some wagons in there with another John Deere tractor on it for collecting our crops off the field. So let me kind of just do another little drive around, and let's actually hop in a tractor. There's one cool thing, I don't know if you've noticed, it's doing it a little bit, but not too much with the side-by-side, is the ground deformation on this farm in particular. So let me just kind of do a loop around with the tractor, and you'll notice as I'm driving around, the ground deformation on this map is just spectacular. So it's really cool. The more you drive around on it here, you'll get those ruts, and I really enjoyed that. I mean, I noticed it right away when I was kind of just, finding a location, kind of playing around on this map. And then I came back to it and I was like, oh, I really like this layout, and I really like the deformation that it gives you. So now, as I'm driving, you'll notice how bumpy it is for the wagon, and it's already, even after, one or two passes here, kind of changing. You can see right there, changing the ground. So how cool is that? I really, really like that. And as I was kind of setting this farm up, I kept on finding myself just driving around on it because I enjoyed that aspect of it so much. But look at how you can just kind of drive around, drive through here, get your feet in. And at least here up by the house, because I put down the asphalt kind of texture there. You're not going to get any deformation there. But just back here, and I really like that. So that's so cool. And every map that I've been playing on is just a little bit different with that aspect. But this in particular, I was really intrigued by the small layout of it, the small footprint. But then at the same time, my idea would be to play on this and utilize the small fields, even though there are many large fields that you could, of course, use, and you could have a lot of fun with this map. So a lot of possibilities for you know. All right, enough driving around. I'm having too much fun just chatting with you. All right, let me hop in the build mode and just kind of show you the buildings real fast. So if I go up here, here's the first one, Farmhouse 2. And yes, it is an American farmhouse without the attached garage. And then I oriented the house so that the side door is right here. You can actually flip it around the other way if you'd like. Then over here, this is called just Small Hall down in the mod hub. Kind of more, you know, pole barn, could be a regular garage, up to you. And then here is the main modern cow barn, which is already here, which you saw from the opening. And then I put in just the small silos here, kind of tuck them right around that drive. And then I put another small old wooden garage right there. And I said with the orientation, it really kind of fit in like it was meant for that little spot. So I really like that. And then coming back around, I pointed out a lot of these little decorations in the back part. Then we have our main barn here, just called Farm Barn, which if you've watched any of my farm builds, I use this one a lot, it seems like. And then I have another silo here, and this is for bringing your chaff or grass, hay in here, making silage for the cattle. And then I have an old wind wheel with water tank, and then the last one here is just a U-shape open barn. And then I had that painted red just to kind of match up with the small barn up here, and then the main farm barn right there. So I really like that. And then the orientation of this, you know, you can be driving down this path all the way up, and then a lot of space in there. So even though it kind of still fits in with that layout, like I said, of keeping that same footprint, but there is more room right here. You can see there's a nice little grass patch. So if you wanted, you could even make a little road or a driveway here and then put something else right there, or more animals too, really up to you. So there it is, the small farm tour here in Poland. So thank you so much for joining me here on this tour, and I really appreciate it. If you are new to the channel, I'd love to have you kind of tag along, follow my other farm tours, or check out my other playthrough series. And I hope you liked this kind of, not a total custom farm, but kind of my take on a small farm here in Poland, and using, you know, what was already here and trying to keep some of the same layout, utilizing that cattle barn. So I will let you guys go there, and thank you again for joining me here on a farm tour in Poland. So have a great one and take care.